Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to talk about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, because we have an update here. It's a minor update, obviously, but with this show, obviously people really want like any sort of information, and they're really keeping things very quiet about the show. And I do really like that because it is sort of building up the hype for it, right? Like when this show eventually does come out next year, and I do think it's going to be February next year, people are going to be so excited for that show. I mean, honestly, the build up to that, that's why I do think there is going to be a trailer that is released probably at the end of November. There is some argument, we'll talk about that in this video, for a trailer to be released in like a month from now because of when the Daryl Dixon show ends. And yeah, obviously we'll get into that in this video. We'll discuss all of that. So before going any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. I do have a lot of Daryl Dixon videos planned, obviously, throughout the week, but I will try to do some The Ones Who Live videos as well, because I mean, it's just it's one of those things where there's not a lot of updates. Like, I can talk about Rick in the sense of how it relates to Daryl Dixon. In that sense, there's quite a bit to talk about. But in terms of talking about that show, it's kind of hard as of now. I mean, I guess I could do like predictions videos and discuss some ideas that I want to see, certain things I want to see happen in the show. There's a lot to talk about here, but there's going to be some stuff that is released very soon. Like I'm so confident that we will have some new footage in the next month. So yeah, if you want to get all my breakdowns and all of that, then make sure to be a subscriber. But let's actually get into this here. So I actually really wanted to discuss, first of all, there is a new synopsis. Again, it's very minor. I mean, honestly, it's more of a rewording of a previous synopsis, but it is still different enough that I was like, you know what, I'm going to talk about this, and I'll just sort of have it as like a small thing in the video, and I'll talk about the trailer release and just like, do an update on this show, because I haven't really done a video on this show in quite a bit. So the new synopsis for this show says, the love story of Rick Grimes and Michonne is changed by a changed world. Separated by distance, they must fight to find their way back to each other, not only to reignite their unbreakable bond, but to become heroes in a broken world. So that last part is basically what was changed. I think the beginning part was sort of reworded a little bit. The last part there was obviously before, it was more of, I think the synopsis was something like, like they got to find each other, but can they do whatever in a world that is so, or there was like a reference to the Civic Republic because it was like an unstoppable force kind of thing. So, there was some difference here. The reason why I wanted to talk about it was because it is kind of cool. Like, they must fight to find their way back to each other, not only to reignite their unbreakable bond, but to become heroes in a broken world. And so that does, that says so much about the story. Like, people think, and I think the general impression right now is that the story is going to be just about Rick and Michonne reuniting, because obviously that's a big part to it, right? It's exciting. And Michonne and Rick reuniting, obviously, once that's sort of done, I think obviously the reunions with every other character is what's going to be so exciting as well. Like, Rick's first interactions with like every single person is almost something worth talking about, right? Like, it's just one of those things where he's that big of a character. You want to see everyone's reactions to the fact that he's alive. Like, it's kind of sad that Rosita's gone, because Rosita is just never going to know Rick's alive. Like, she's never going to be able to see him again. And for Rick, it's going to be sad to come back and just, hear about the fact that so many people are gone. So many people have died over the years. And the thing is, though, there's probably a part to him that is kind of expecting it as well, because that's just sort of the world that they live in. So, yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff there that obviously is very exciting. But the synopsis here, to me, proves that the reunion's going to be really cool, but there is a bigger story. It seems like this story for this season, it isn't necessarily, like, this show isn't about the reunion. The reunion's going to happen, but this show is about, the Civic Republic, and that is overall the main story here. It's a Rick and Michonne spinoff, basically. So view this show much like, the other spinoffs where it's like they're fighting other forces kind of thing, right? Like, we're going to, obviously it's going to be exciting to see them first reunite. I think that's probably going to happen in like episode 3 or something like that. But as soon as that happens, that's going to be sort of over and done with. And then we're just going to be onto the main story, right? Where both of them have to deal with the Civic Republic. And that's what's kind of exciting about it, because I was just kind of looking at some stuff here, and I was reading here on some sites, and it just kind of says like, yeah, like right here, the first season will consist of 6 episodes and is intended to be a continuing series. So reading that, obviously you're so excited about that, right? The series was titled The Walking Dead Rick and Michonne by April 2023, then retitled to The Walking Dead The Ones Who Live in July 2003. I mean, obviously this show here, it seems like, again, this show is going to be more than one season for sure. Like, I know they're saying limited series, this and that. Like, the thing is, with this show, you do have to view it as it's not a continuing series, like in the sense of Daryl Dixon. And I know I've said this before, but I just, every time I do a video like this, there's always somebody who says, no, it's only 6 episodes. And as of now, it is. Like, as of now, it is 6 episodes, but they're intending it to be more than that. It's just one of those things where it's like, we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know what they're waiting for. Is it the actors and stuff? Like, do they just want to see? Do they want to see where the story's going to go and just how this first show does? Because I imagine that's a big part of it, right? Like, I'm sure, you know, Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrero are like, yeah, you know, we'll come back as Rick and Michonne, but they want to see how this show does. If this show comes out and it just sort of flops or no one cares for the story and it's very whatever, they might not want to do another season. They might just be like, no, you know what? We'll leave it at that. But obviously, and it might be more than that, maybe they're like, you know what, where the story ends, we do want to come back for a season 2, but we want that to be the last season, right? So they might just want to see overall where the fans are at with this show and the excitement. And so watching the show, I mean, if you're looking at Daryl Dixon and the excitement for this show, like, I think they have a general idea as to what this show is actually going to be. Because imagine if we were like currently watching The Ones Who Live right now, and last night, it was Sunday last night, so imagine last night was episode 2 of The Ones Who Live. You know, like, obviously there would be this build for episode 3 because we think that that's going to be the episode where they reunite. The excitement for Walking Dead fans is going to be so massive. Everyone's going to be watching. It's going to get a season 2. Like, I feel like they already know that, you know, like EW, or it was Hollywood Reporter or Deadline. A lot of them were saying that when they reached out to like AMC and stuff on, you know, was this a continuing series or not? The answer was, you know, they don't really know. It was something like, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like there's sort of a, I guess, a non-answer on it. It's not confirmed that you know, this is just going to be 6 episodes, but we're also not going to confirm that we're doing more than that. It's just, I think it's a wait and see sort of thing. And I really feel like it's going to be one of those things where they're not going to say a single thing until the last episode airs. And then that's where we'll probably get an announcement. And yeah, it's obviously, that's something that people are going to be so excited about. In terms of like, when can we expect news for the show overall, I thought we would have gotten something already. I thought that we were going to get these little teasers with Daryl Dixon. There was a part of me that was thinking, though, that could be a little too soon, only because of Fear the Walking Dead. Like, if you started that now with the Daryl Dixon show, you're basically forced to kind of like release these small teasers for 12 weeks straight, right? Like, that's kind of a lot. So I was thinking it almost makes more sense to do that with Fear the Walking Dead, even though the show isn't really related to Rick. It sort of, you know, there's a reason to watch Fear the Walking Dead afterwards. Like, just keep watching that show. Obviously, it's the end, so people want to see that, but there's more of a reason to watch that show and just to kind of see like the Rick and Michonne teaser at the end. And then obviously I feel like it's probably going to build up to a trailer. So I think that's probably what it's going to be. You know, if I had to predict, will we get a trailer at the end of Fear the Walking Dead or at the end of Daryl Dixon? I feel more comfortable saying that we're going to get a trailer at the end of Fear the Walking Dead, because they're probably going to want to tease their next property sort of thing, right? So that's why I think that. I think it just makes more sense. Like, right now, if they were promoting the Rick and Michonne show, you could almost say it's not irresponsible, but like kind of rude. Like, you're ignoring Fear the Walking Dead, right? So I think that's why we're seeing a lot more Fear the Walking Dead stuff. Like, after the premiere of Daryl Dixon, we got that new trailer for Fear the Walking Dead. And yes, I know I should be covering Fear the Walking Dead a little bit more because it is the last 6 episodes, but the first 6 episodes of season 8 just weren't the greatest, so I'm not that excited about it. But obviously Troy's return is kind of exciting, and I'm a little excited about it. I have some thoughts on that, but like, I think he will be a cool character to see come back. So we'll have to wait and see where that goes there. But if I were to give a prediction, when are we getting this trailer, like an actual 2-minute trailer, it's probably going to be at the end of November, right after Fear the Walking Dead ends. And again, they could do it at the end of Daryl Dixon, you know, after episode 6 airs in like, what is that, mid-October or whatever. Like, that could also work as well, but I think for sure at the end of November. And the reason why is because I think the show is coming out in February. Like, that's the big rumor right now, is that this show will be released in February. We are really on the verge of getting a release date. And that's the one thing too. They could announce a lot of that this year. Like going into 2024, we're going to have a lot more knowledge on when this show is coming out. It's not going to be one of those things where, you know, it's January 1st, 2024, and we're all wondering, when is this show coming out? When's the next Walking Dead property coming out? Like the ones who live after Fear ends, that show is going to be the next show coming out in the Walking Dead universe. So, you know, we usually have a release date for a lot of that. The only time we never did was with Dead City, and it was in a really awkward place because The Walking Dead just ended and they just kind of let things, you know, just like settle for a little bit, and then they started to announce stuff. So that's why, for me, I think going into January 1st, 2024, we're going to know the release date. We're going to have seen the full trailer already at that point, and they're going to start marketing that show. And I think that show is going to drop at the end of February. My prediction right now, just looking at the calendar, is February 25th, because they normally don't release it early February. Like they used to a long time ago. But I noticed with, at least with The Walking Dead, the last couple of seasons were releasing at the end of February. So that's kind of my prediction right now, is like February 18th or the 25th. I'm going to say the 25th is the first episode, and it's going to go straight until, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So March 31st, I guess, would be the last episode. So I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, it's probably going to release during that period there. And then obviously it could release sooner than that, maybe like mid-February, February 11th maybe, and then have it air for 3 weeks, and then that would end on, what is that? That would be March 17th would be the final episode. So that is also very, very possible. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm very, very excited. I do think that the trailer is going to be coming out very, very soon. There's going to be some teasers coming out, a lot more footage and all of that. I think the release date is something that people really want. I think right now it's just 2024. The rumor is early 2024, and I think that makes sense because you got to remember too, this show was originally supposed to come out in 2023, and then they had to push it off because of, I guess, creative reasons or whatever. I just think it makes sense that it's going to be coming out like, and also I do want to say, I think that was actually very smart of them because we needed a little bit more of a break. If you remember, Dead City was supposed to be out in April of this year, and then I think Daryl Dixon, the rumor was like the summer. And then I guess The Ones Who Live would be coming out in like a couple weeks from now. I think that would have been way too much, especially with trying to balance Fear the Walking Dead. That's a lot. Like that's honestly a lot of content within this year. So I think pushing off Dead City until June, having Fear, I think Fear came out in May, right? So I think it gave such a huge break. And luckily in my life, I really, you know, because for me, honestly, with what I was going through back then, I wouldn't have really covered Dead City if it came out in April, because that's sort of when I started to get back into doing videos, and there is no way I would have been able to cover that. Like I was just not in a state to care for a lot of stuff like that. So I'm overall happy with where everything is sort of placed, and I just can't wait to get some more footage. I can't wait to get a new teaser for the show. I think it's likely going to be dropping very, very soon. I think for now, you know, we're probably just going to have to kind of wait for stuff like this. I think, though, when Daryl Dixon ends, there could be a teaser. There could be a small teaser that's like 30 seconds, and then we'll have to wait like for another one that is dropped, obviously, when Fear the Walking Dead ends. There could be a release date that's dropped, more casting information. Like, there's a lot of that info that's going to be dropping as well, right? Like, there is so much stuff there. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm definitely very, very excited. Post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.